It's no secret that big tech companies like Facebook and Google are as hungry for your data as possible so that they can create a better profile of you for advertising or to even train their AI models without your permission. With that being said, I honestly could understand if you choose to continue to store all of your personal files, photos, memories, and whatever else you have on your phone that you don't want other people seeing in the cloud. And the reason I say that I don't blame you or that I understand why you would continue to choose to keep your photos in the cloud is because for most people, it's not even a choice that you make. You get your iPhone and the iPhone already has iCloud photos on it and it just backs up automatically. It's easy. You don't have to think about it. And that's just the best route for most people to take. But for me, I feel as if the negatives of storing data in the cloud, training AI models, data leaks, advertisements, or whatever other number of issues there are with storing your data in the cloud, I feel that those issues outweigh the benefits of storing all of my data locally and accessing it through my Linux server. But if the privacy concerns alone aren't enough to make you want to question whether you should be storing all of your photos in the cloud or not, then there's probably another thing that will. Money. And I think most iPhone users have experienced this when you run out of iCloud storage and it tells you that you need to sign up for their iCloud Plus or whatever for $5 a month so that you don't lose all of your photos if you get a new device. And most people obviously sign up because who wants to lose all of their pictures? And like I said, I don't blame you for choosing this. But then again, I understand that training AI models, privacy, fair use is a much more complex topic than I know about. So today I'm going to be just showing you how I took ownership back of my own files through creating an Immich container on my Ubuntu server and creating a Nextcloud container and then backing it all up to the drive and showing you guys exactly how you can do that too. Now, if you didn't see my previous episodes, I already have an Ubuntu server running inside of Proxmox on that Dell Optiplex 9020 back there. And it's got containers set up for Minecraft. It has Portainer. It has Nginx Proxy Manager. It's doing, I wouldn't say a lot now, but it's definitely doing something now. So this tutorial, if you even want to call it that, is going to assume that you've already viewed my first 4 episodes. So let's go ahead and jump into Proxmox to get started. Now the first problem with setting this up is that the 500 gigabyte hard drive that came with my Dell Optiplex right back there is not even visible to my Ubuntu server VM as of right now. So what I'm going to have to do first is come here in my Proxmox dashboard, click on the drive, and we're going to click erase to completely wipe the entire drive clean and get it ready for storing some of my photos. Next, I'm going to click that drive and then click initialize disk with GPT. This just gets it ready for Linux partitions. Now I'm just going to click the directories tab. I'm going to create a new directory. I'm going to select that 500 gigabyte hard drive, put the file system as ext4, and I'm going to name this directory angel-data. And Proxmox now has a home for backups and data at /mnt/pve/angel-data.
Keep yapping, man. The people are...
Now, as you can see here, I went to the data center tab, I went to directory mappings, and I created these 2 directory mappings. These just essentially act as a bridge so that my Ubuntu server VM can actually see the 500 gigabyte drive and store files inside of it. Now I'm just heading over to the VM 100 tab. This is the Ubuntu server VM. I'm clicking hardware, add, and we're going to add Virtio-FS. This is going to allow me to add files from inside the Ubuntu server VM to the drive, and it's also going to allow Proxmox to manage those files, and we can both access the drive back and forth. Now the bridge is active, but Ubuntu doesn't know where to put any of the data, so I'm going to start by creating a directory here using sudo mkdir. I'm going to do /mnt /data. This is going to be where all of my photos, all of my personal files, anything in bulk is going to live. Now here I'm just changing the permissions on that new directory so that it's owned by my user and by my group. And as you can see here, I already went and added my drives to the system table so that they'll stay after the system reboots. And cool, now as you can see here, my 500 gigabyte drive is visible to the VM and I'm ready to start putting my pictures on there. Now that I have my 500 gigabyte drive mapped over to my Ubuntu server VM so that I can actually start storing data on there, it's time to get into the fun part of the video. Installing Immich. Immich is a Docker container that I'm going to be installing on my Ubuntu server that essentially works just like iCloud Photos or Google Photos, except it's hosted on your own local hardware. So all I have to do is download my iCloud Photos library and upload it using the web interface, and everything should be accessible from there. Just like with any other new service or container that I install on my Ubuntu server, I'm going to do this make directory command to make a new directory for my Immich container. And now the same except for the photos that are going on the hard drive. I don't want to be too repetitive here, but you can probably guess that this command changes the ownership of this directory to my user and to my group. This command just pulls the latest template configuration file from Immich's GitHub and downloads it right here in our directory. Now I'll do a similar one. This one is the Docker compose file, which is the actual instructions to Docker on how to actually build this container. Now here I'm just editing that configuration file I downloaded with Nano, and I'm going to be changing one line, upload location, to the path of my 500 gigabyte hard drive so that all of my photos that are uploaded are stored right on my hard drive. If you're doing this at home, you should go ahead and put your database password in here. I'm doing that off camera. I'm obviously not going to show you my password. Now that my hard drive is connected and the instructions for Docker are set, I'm going to be going ahead and running this Docker compose up-d, which means detached, so that all of the Docker containers, the database, the search, the machine learning or whatever, it's all going to start spinning up and start running. Yes. Now once that container was finished running and starting in Docker, the setup for Immich was pretty easy. I just opened up the dashboard here on port 2283 and I just uploaded all my photos. The setup was very simple. I just had to put in my name, my email, basic stuff like that. The only thing that really gave me trouble in this process of getting all my photos on Immich was iCloud Photos. I don't know why iCloud Photos took so long, but it took multiple days of me starting and stopping the download, and it was only like 50 gigabytes of photos and videos. So yeah, clearly Immich already seems to be working a lot easier because uploading them was not difficult at all. I just dragged over the files into the dashboard and now they're here and it looks pretty good. I like the interface. It was very straightforward. Didn't really have any problems with it besides iCloud. And to make this dashboard secure and accessible from outside of my house, I went ahead and added a proxy host to my Nginx proxy manager here. Now I can just go to the URL or open the app and point it to the URL, and I will be connected to my server to see all my photos or upload any new photos. Now to keep things new and exciting here, I actually didn't go the route of making the Docker compose file in the terminal this time. I used Portainer to just paste the YAML file in and map my volumes, and now I have the stack up and running right here. Now for the sake of time and keeping things interesting, I'm not going to go over the Nextcloud setup. They have a bunch of other features like mail and calendars and all this stuff that comes with Nextcloud. I personally just want the file storage to replace Google Drive because I'm not going to use the other stuff, honestly. So I got that set up. I set up a domain in NPM like I did for the photos. And now I can just go to nextcloud.immich angelserver.live, and I have my own personal Google Drive here ready to go. Now, my biggest concern after finishing setting this up was that if something goes wrong with my server, whether that be the hard drive or the CPU or anything, I'm not going to have access to any of my cloud files or any of my photos. So what I decided to do is back them up to Google Drive. Now, that seems like defeating the whole point of this, because the whole point was to get off of the cloud services. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a tool called Rclone to back up my photos to Google Drive, and it will actually encrypt the files before they even leave the server. So when I go to Google Drive, it's going to be just a bunch of letters and numbers and completely unintelligible. So if anyone ever hacks my Google account, they'll have no access to what the actual files are. Now, I actually did my Rclone setup off camera already, but I'm just going to walk through the steps again in case anyone hasn't already done it. So the first command you're going to need to set this up, just like with anything else in Linux, is the sudo apt install rclone-y command. And now to get into the menu to actually set up this backup, just type rclone config. I'm typing in for new remote. You can then just type whatever name you want for your remote. In here, I'm doing my cloud storage. Now we're going to get a long list here of different cloud services that you can choose to use to back up whatever you want to Google Drive, Dropbox. I'm going with Google Drive just because it's what I'm familiar with already. This stuff you can just click through, press enter to leave this empty. Same thing with that, press enter to leave it empty. And we want this remote to have full access to all files, so we type 1. Same thing with this. I think we can leave this empty as well. We don't want to use advanced config, so just type in for no. Yes, we want to use auto config, so type yes there. And now it's going to give you a link, so you just open this link in your browser and you will be able to log into whatever cloud service you're using. And now your drive, whatever you choose, will be backed up to the cloud provider that you choose. Now, the process of setting up an encrypted remote is pretty similar. I just went ahead and typed rclone config to get into the menu again. We'll type in here for new remote. Enter a name here. I would make it obvious that it's encrypted, so I type vault encrypted here. Now, in this list, we're going to choose something else. We're going to choose something called crypt. Where is it? Where is it? There it is, number 14. So we want to use this because it says encrypt/decrypt a remote there. So we'll come down here, put 14 in right there. And then again, we can skip past this. Oh no, we can't skip past this. It's asking what path you want to encrypt. So all you type is the name of your new encrypted remote, and then a little colon, and the path of whatever you want to encrypt. So I'm just going to put photos there just as an example. I don't have anything personally in a directory named photos, but maybe you do. I don't know. We want to encrypt the file names, encrypt everything. So click number 1 on this step. We want to encrypt the names. Yes. And you do want to create a password here. So just type Y. I'm entering my password in off camera, so you can't see it. Sorry. And that's it. It should now encrypt and back up everything I have to Google Drive. Ooh, I'm a hacker. I'm in a hoodie. I'm in a smoky room. Something's on fire near me, but I'm typing. I'm hacking into the Google Drive. I can't wait to see what he has in here. This is it. I did all this work just to hack into this Google Drive, and there's only 0D22UDS8NG6. Ah, my day is ruined. I hate hacking. Now, instead of running the rclone commands every single time that I want to run these backups, I set up a shell script here that has all of the directories that I want to back up and the rclone commands to actually back them up. So as you can see at the top there, I made some variables, one for the rclone config file in that directory, and I also made a Discord URL webhook variable so that the last line here can send me a notification whenever the backup's complete. So each one of these lines here is an rclone command that just tells Rclone to back up that specific directory to Google Drive and encrypt it. The Discord notification part was really cool and really easy to set up too. I tried to test it out to film this for the video, but it was taking a really long time and I had to go work and deliver some DoorDash to make some money.
What the heck?
But while I was out here, let me just show you real quick. There it is. There we go. Boom. I just set it up to send this message every time the sync finishes so that I am sure that it's going over well. And if it doesn't reach the last line, it won't send the message. So then I'll know something's wrong. Pretty cool. And instead of just running this full script every single time I want to do a backup, I have an entry in something called a cron table, which just schedules scripts to be ran on an hourly basis, a daily basis, whatever you want really. So I just set mine up to run this script every single night at 2 a.m. And that's all for episode 5 of my Angel Server Home Lab series. This one was probably my favorite to make so far. It was just really fun seeing these services actually working, getting them up and running. Very rewarding and not that hard, honestly. What else? If you want to follow along with these steps, step by step, I have the exact documentation in my GitHub. You can literally follow step by step, read at your own pace. This episode is more fast paced just to show what I'm doing and not bore with the technical details too much. But if you want to know everything, you can look at my GitHub. What else? If you want to watch the first 4 episodes, they're in a playlist on my channel. GitHub link is in the channel description. And stay tuned for episode 6, where I'm going to be setting up Jellyfin so I can host all of my legally acquired media, movies, TV shows, everything. So stay tuned for that, and peace.